Hello, welcome to Garden of Wisdom channel. I hope you enjoy. Please click subscribe for more updates. Our subject today is
a very intriguing thought and one that has always stirred up much debate is the near-death experience. While science refuses to believe anything that is not conceivable to the eye or any human faculty, there are a number of experiences that are on record, defying science and even religion. The phrase near-death experience refers to a personal experience that is associated with an impending eventuality, death, and dying. It is shared by people who have a narrow escape from death. Many of them have the experience on the operation table or hospital on being pronounced clinically dead. There are others who disclose the experience while deteriorating in health to the point of no return, like in the case of cancer or a fatal accident. There are people who have gone on record to prove the phenomena. They have shared near-death experiences that involve rare sensations, such as detachment and levitation from the physical self, and a feeling of serenity. There are also experiences that tell of absolute dissolution. A number of people who have experienced the phenomenon speak of a bright light, which many interpret as God. And then there are some people who claim glimpses into the life after death. The experiences of all the people on record follows a certain pattern. It begins with noise and the sense of being dead. This is followed by a sense of calm and serenity. The next feeling is that of floating, leaving the physical self behind. Many talk about floating within a blue tunnel and seeing a bright light at the end of it. They claim to meet deceased relatives within the tunnel. Some even see and speak to spiritual figures or deities or the God they believe in. They also confirm to a review of their own lives before reaching the boundary. Thereafter, there is a feeling of returning to the body and warmth. Analysis of such experiences also reveals the feeling of peace, harmony, and a lot of insight. People have confirmed to spirituality via mystical and religious experiences, and an awareness of a different place and time. Many of these experiences have been proved. The scientific community believes that the experiences are hallucinations. On the other hand, specialists dealing in paranormal phenomena believe them to be the evidence of afterlife. Near-death experiences are a phenomenon studied in psychology, parapsychology, and psychiatry. Science analyzes such experiences as the body's reaction to a heart attack and the subsequent shock. This is mainly due to the probable postpartum loss of blood and complications that are perioperative. They are also seen as the result of electrocution or a pre-coma phase. Patients who have reported such experiences have been diagnosed with intracerebral hemorrhage, asphyxia, serious depression, and apnea. The crucial experience involves the ability of the patient to hear the doctor or nurse proclaiming him or her dead. The resultant subjective impression results in the unintended near-death experience. Psychiatrists believe that these are a series of physical responses, either to drugs and medications or circumstance and environment. Critics argue that neurobiological stress that results from a near-death situation like in a fatal automobile accident leads to the phenomenon. There is research being done on the brain's episodic memory to envision prenatal experiences. The research involves a search for a coping mechanism from a relatively potential fatal situation. Many psychologists and those pursuing the study of the paranormal recognize the effect of psychopathological symptoms, but focus on the translation of the experiences of the reanimated. The primary focus of such study is the damage to brain power, and the influence of a person's religious and cultural beliefs in a near-death situation. People who have had near-death experiences often report experiencing features that form a common pattern among the millions of people throughout history who have reported near-death experiences. Scientists investigating near-death experiences have found that the pattern of what usually happens during them is consistent worldwide and among people of all different ages, cultural backgrounds, and religious beliefs, according to the International Association for Near-Death Studies. People often describe their souls, the conscious part of themselves, leaving their bodies and floating upward. Actor Peter Sellers, who had a near-death experience after a heart attack, reported, "I felt myself leave my body. I just floated out of my physical form and I saw them cart my body away to the hospital. I went with it. I wasn't frightened or anything like that because I was fine, and it was my body that was in trouble." While having an NDE, people can see their physical bodies below, and they can watch everything that happens to their bodies, such as doctors and nurses working and family members grieving. After they return to life, they can vividly describe details of what happened around their bodies, even though they were physically unconscious. A tunnel appears in the air and draws the souls of people into it, propelling them forward quickly. Despite the great speed at which they're traveling, however, people report that they're not afraid, but peaceful and curious while going through the tunnel. Those who go through near-death experiences say that they're aware of profound changes in both time and space while they're out of their bodies. They often report that they can sense time and space occurring all at once, rather than separately as it does on Earth. Space and time are illusions that hold us to the physical realm. In the spirit realm, all is present simultaneously, said Beverly Brodsky, who had an NDE after a motorcycle accident, in the book Lessons from the Light. What We Can Learn from the Near-Death Experience, by Kenneth Ring and Evelyn Elsa Esser Valerino. People report meeting a powerful spiritual being who appears in the form of a brilliant light. Although the light that the being generates is brighter than any that people have seen on Earth, it doesn't hurt them to look at the light, and they don't feel uncomfortable in its presence. To the contrary, people say that the being of light radiates love, which leads them to feel at peace about the journey they're going through. People sometimes think of the being of light as a manifestation of God, and sometimes as an angel. They often report feeling intense emotions while enveloped in the light. One person quoted in the book Evidence of the Afterlife, The Science of Near-Death Experiences by Jeffrey Long MD reflects, "A beautiful light drew me to itself. The light still touches me with awe, and tears come immediately." Angels and people who have died but knew the person having the near-death experience in some way while alive, such as family members or friends, often greet that person shortly after the brilliant light appears. They all recognize each other, even without seeing each other physically. Tennis player Laurelyn Martin recounts in her book Searching for Home, a personal journey of transformation and healing after a near-death experience, "I became aware of many spirits. They surrounded, embraced, and supported my journey with their gentleness, knowledge, and guidance. I felt one of them approach from my right upper side. This familiar presence came forward and my feelings changed to sheer joy when I discovered my 30-year-old brother-in-law, the one who had died 7 months earlier from cancer. My essence moved to meet his essence. I couldn't see with my eyes or hear with my ears, yet I instinctively knew that it was Will's." Sometimes, people meet a spirit who knows about them, but whom they don't know because the person passed away before they were born. People usually see a panoramic movie of their lives replayed for them, featuring every experience they had on Earth simultaneously, yet in a form that they can understand well. During this life review, people can recognize how their choices affected themselves and other people. A person quoted in Evidence of the Afterlife, The Science of Near-Death Experiences states, "Every second from birth until death you will see and feel, and you will experience your emotions and others that you hurt, and feel their pain and emotions. What this is for is so you can see what kind of person you were and how you treated others from another vantage point, and you will be harder on yourself than anyone to judge you." When people perceive that they're in the process of entering heaven, they report feeling blissful, and they don't want to leave even if they have unfinished work to do on Earth. However, the people who find themselves approaching hell during their near-death experiences report feeling terrified and urgently want to return to Earth to change their lives. Despite the fact that their physical bodies are unconscious, people who have NDEs report being able to see, hear, smell, feel, and taste more vividly than they ever could on Earth. After returning, they often describe colors or music that are unlike anything they've encountered on Earth. During NDEs, people often learn information that helps them understand what had previously been mysterious to them. One person said in Evidence of the Afterlife, the science of near-death experiences that all the secrets of the universe, all knowledge of all time, everything, became understandable during the NDE. Somehow, the people who go through NDEs figure out that it's not their time to die permanently. Either a spiritual being informs them that they have unfinished work they need to complete on Earth, or they come to a boundary in their travels and must decide whether to stay in the afterlife or return to life on Earth. Near-death experiences end when people's souls re-enter their physical bodies. Then they're resuscitated, and recover from whatever illness or injury had caused them to approach death or clinically die. After a near-death experience, many people decide to live differently than they did prior to going through that experience. People who have returned from near-death experiences to their earthly lives are usually more kind, less materialistic, and more generous people than they were before, according to the groundbreaking NDE book Life After Life by Raymond A. Moody, MD.